Get ready. I mean, get ready, 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 ready.
It's time to motivate, inspire, transform. Head toward your future. Reach for the stars. Genesis of change begins from within. When you learn to lead, everyone wins. It's intentional leadership.
Welcome back, mentees, to the Intentional Leadership Podcast. Today we have a wonderful guest that's going to enlighten us on mental health and awareness within our community, especially, and I'll say post-COVID. Today we have, who are you? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Dr. Ashley Elgin, and I'm the CEO at Lena Pope and the superintendent for our charter school, Chapel Hill Academy.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we share something in common because we are superintendents to make sure that students are learning and achieving. So talk to me specifically about your role as a leader of the organization and how it impacts the community.
So my role at Lena Pope is to ensure that we are meeting the community need. Lena Pope is an organization that has been part of Fort Worth for 93 years. And so it was created during a time that the conditions in the community were very similar to what we're experiencing right now. It was post-war. They were also dealing with, children having illnesses and children being left alone without a parent to care for them. And Lena Pope created an orphanage. And out of that grew the need for so many different services. There were people that were just left without any stability, no place to live, no one to raise them, no education. And so Lena Pope has continued to serve in that capacity. Whenever there is a crisis like the one that we're dealing with now, Lena Pope has tried to step forward and serve as the backbone of the community.
Wonderful. When we think about homelessness and some of the services that are provided, and we know that the LGBT community is impacted quite a bit due to the situations at home, and they're not received as well from parents or relatives and so forth. And a lot of them are homeless. What type of services or that you all provide as a part of that?
Well, Lena Pope has transitioned over the near 100 years that we have been in service, and we no longer provide residential care. Coincidentally, I was the CEO at Promise House here in Dallas prior to going to Fort Worth. Of course, that's such a critical issue, particularly in our community where we have a subset of people who tend to be more conservative, and it leads to quite a bit of family discord. Our programs at Lena Pope are geared towards serving anyone and walking them through the journey of their life despite any kind of family discord or any kind of developmental questioning or any kind of relational barriers that they might have in their lives. Despite any subject that comes up, because it's so multifaceted,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
It's not just one area or one thing, or my mom or my dad or my religion or my development or my partner. It is so deep within who you are as a person and what your choices are in the community and how you show up. We want to be part of that.
Absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about your experience when you think of childhood trauma and how it's impacted, the school system, and along with the childhood trauma, being in COVID times, how do you all support, or how would you recommend others to assist in supporting individuals that are going through that?
Well, childhood trauma, I think that people are scared by those words. Everyone in the course of their development will run into a crisis at some point. And it becomes how the people circle around you to help you and how you experience that. So I believe that as a community, it is our responsibility to support everyone who is experiencing either a day-to-day struggle, maybe their job is stressful, maybe their academic program is troubling to them, maybe it's their family of origin that is creating the greatest stress. I think the best way to intervene is to be aware that everyone is struggling.
I think you're spot on with that because, of course, personally, I've dealt with anxiety, some forms of depression as well, and I needed the tools basically, and it really doesn't disappear, but I've been given the tools through therapy on how to handle those things, and to establish those boundaries that are necessary for me to be mentally healthy.
Right. And I think that is often overlooked and not talked about because, unfortunately, mental health concerns are still taboo in our community, and it is just unbelievable to me. And in fact, I've written a couple of op-eds about the way that our community reacts to people who are struggling. Fortunately, we've had some celebrities and some sports people who have struggled and have said so, and it is starting to reduce the stigma. But at the same time, we're confronted with a unique set of circumstances in which suicide is becoming more and more and more a prevalent option, and it is more prevalent in the news. So not only do people see it on the news with their loved ones, people that they know, their friends, it is becoming more of a viable option for people, and it is starting to become something that is normalized with also the externalization, and that would be homicide,
Yes.
Hurting others or hurting yourself. And the more that kids see that in the media and don't have a context for it and don't have a real place to safely talk about, how does that impact, how does that come up? And I think a lot of times in the news, they make it such that, oh, well, she ran into, a difficult time that she couldn't handle. And so it resulted in her suicide. It's never that easy. It is never that
Not
cut
at
and
all.
dry. It is always a complex set of circumstances, all the way down to temperament and supports and ability to communicate and the environment that they're in and their stressors and their predisposition to mental health issues and you could go on and on and on. It is so complex, and it is not something that just happened and that was the answer.
What would be some clues for individuals, educators, parents, grandparents, whoever is around not only children but adults, because we know that specifically now it really is prevalent in the African American community where it hasn't been in the past. So what would you say would be some cues that we could look at or see that would identify that there's a problem there and we need to do something about it or try to get some help for that person?
I think that a lot of times families would really like to believe that some of these struggles that their kids are going through are just normative. Oh, adolescents, they get that way and they'll grow out of it. It's just a phase. That's a very troubling approach to handling a loved one's changes in behavior. So you might start seeing that they're isolating or that they're reacting to stressors in a more aggressive way, or that they're hanging with a different group of kids, or that they're hiding their phone and what's going on in their personal social media things. Maybe they're sleeping more, maybe they're eating more or eating less. The majority of families that have experienced the loss of a loved one through suicide have indicated that it was an absolute surprise to them. And I think that happens for a number of reasons. I think that when people are in pain, it's hard to talk about. And a lot of times they're trying to hide it, intentionally trying to hide it in in a way to cope, in a way to minimize it, in a way to persevere. And so as loved ones, it's our responsibility to say, hey, I'm noticing something different. I'm not sure what it's about. Are you okay? That's the only way to approach it.
Right.
And when they say, I'm fine, just leave me alone, which is often the case, to follow up and to say, we talked about that yesterday, yet I still see you're so quiet and you're so distant from the family. What's going on? You have to keep showing up, even if they're saying, I'm fine, it's all okay. Because I think sometimes to talk about it and to recognize it and to own it is absolutely overwhelming to the person who is dealing with it. But to know that you're there, you checked on them last night, you checked on them this morning, when they have that moment that they are ready to talk, they know you're there.
Right.
And not only that, I think that when you're dealing with kids, we know that they're more likely to talk to someone in their peer group. And so often as parents and as adults in children's lives, we discount the importance of a friend group. And sometimes it's easy for a parent to say, well, that's their friends. So I don't have to have a relationship with all of their friends. The more relationship you have with your child's significant group, the better off you will be, because there's going to be active communication. And if your child reveals, I just don't think I can deal with this anymore. I don't want to live anymore. I just want to go to sleep. Those kinds of things that are told to a friend may never be transmitted to the adults because they don't know what to do with the information and they don't think it's that big of a deal. But those types of words are true indicators that something big may be going on in their mind.
I think you're spot on with that. I think about a couple of instances when I was a campus administrator where our students were the ones that were the advocate for their classmate.
Right.
They saw a change. They were hearing things that they were uncomfortable with, and they came to the counselors that was on site at that time and shared their concerns.
Right.
So I think you're very right, and parents do need to be aware. I'm old school, and I think about my mom was very aware of who my friends were and who their parents were.
Exactly.
So we do need to be more involved and aware, and I think definitely having those conversations with those friends are extremely important. We have a new avenue of communicating that's more prevalent than ever before, social media.
Absolutely.
That even myself, I had to basically fast and get away from because it can be toxic to you emotionally. Can you speak to that as it relates to signs or indications or maybe even some suggestions for parents and teachers and administrators around social media and the plight that we have right now and how it impacts the way students think about themselves?
Absolutely. I think that you're right, that it can be incredibly toxic. And that is one of the things that I think the pandemic has exacerbated. People were feeling isolated, so the only way that they could reach out to someone was through social media or texting or all those other platforms. And now it's sort of become a way of life. Bullying happens.
Yes.
Almost 90% of the time.
Absolutely.
Through the social media. And so no longer do you see those kids passing in the hall and bullying one another in that way. It happened last night.
Mm-hmm.
They told them, hey, I'm going to get you at school. And now they're terrified, but no one saw that happen. As far as social media is concerned, I think having campaigns within the school system that helps kids understand when they need to include an adult. I'm 100% with you. Many of our cases that have been uncovered in the perfect amount of time, in the nick of time, were through a peer who came to an adult and said, I got this text. I don't know what to do with it. I mean, maybe she's kidding, but maybe she's not.
Mm-hmm.
And educating kids about what to do when they get those types of messages, not just the message of concern for your friend, but the message that you're a part of a group chat and somebody is saying hurtful things to another,
Mm-hmm.
they have to tell an adult. Otherwise, a lot of times parents are not monitoring those things, or they
Right.
have apps that no one knows about, and the parent thinks, well, I'm doing a good job monitoring, I take it away at night. Those are all good tools to use, but still having that active communication, nothing replaces that.
Absolutely. And students are so savvy with, parents feel as though they have a control over the social media, but they are so savvy with technology. They can get through blocked platforms or what have you and still have that accessibility. A lot of the bullying does occur on social media, and a lot of the harsh, critical words, and I think about adults, we look at this, not only social media, then you have these platforms on television now, the reality shows that perpetuate a lot of this, on Twitter, and they're saying whatever they want to say and how they want to say it. And they're adults, but it impacts not only the adult that they're referring to, but it also impacts those individuals that are following them.
That's right.
We typically model those individuals that we see, especially if we are a fan of them or what have you. I really want to reiterate one thing that you said, and I think is really important, is at the campus level that we definitely need to make the environment a place, or the culture, a place where they feel comfortable communicating, and that we talk to them about, hey, this is a way for you to inform us. Even if it's a box and you can just write it, and it's anonymous, and you can put, what's going on or what have you, but making it available to those students where they feel comfortable in sharing those concerns or those feelings that they may have. What are your thoughts around actual, like I'm saying, focus groups, and that may not be the correct name for it, but actually having those, groups within the school setting where they are able to talk to young ladies to come together and maybe have those kind of conversations?
At Chapel Hill, we've created a multifaceted approach because one size does not fit all. You really have to be agile, and you have to create the avenue that is going to be comfortable one way or another to everyone. So we've created a system in which we have someone who deals with discipline, someone who deals with positive reinforcement, and then 3 individuals, behavior interventionists, that are available throughout the campus. And they not only monitor what's going on, but they make relationships with the kids so that that's the person that they are really comfortable with. Right. They see them all the time. They know that they're going to protect them. But beyond that, we also have a group called I Am Her, and that's a girls support group. It's a mentoring group in which they learn a lot about, how to be empowered, how to communicate with one another. And then we have student ambassadors, and student ambassadors are those that are within the various age groups, and they represent the school in lots of different ways. So they are kids that are somehow influential, not necessarily those A+ students that are perfect in every way.
Right.
It is those kids who other kids look up to, who are leaders in their own way. And those student ambassadors, we give them particular training about how to represent other students, how to communicate to adults, how to be that liaison between your peer group and the school leaders. And then, of course, we have a social worker and someone who works underneath her who can, teach social and emotional education on a routine basis. And then the social worker is available to those kids who end up feeling as though they have a crisis situation and they need someone on a higher level to talk to. So we really try to create a multifaceted system so that the kids can come forward with anything that they really need to talk about. They can also communicate. The social worker has on her door, if she's not in there or if she's with a student, she has a little box that says, I can't talk right now. Put a note in my inbox and I'll come and find you. Mm-hmm. And she does. She goes to find them no matter what the note says. It may say, I just want to say hi. She goes to find them. They stop by for a reason.
I think it's a really important, first of all, that you said that it's not a one-size-fit-all, and it will look different at various levels at different organizations. I think it has to be a priority. It needs to be a priority from top down, and it needs to be talked about and communicated to all of the individuals. And, there's a common language, and it becomes a part of that culture and the climate where students or even staff members feel comfortable with sharing how they feel. And I think about the tier level approach, whereas we're identifying, we look at the academic aspects of it, but really the social and emotional aspects of those that need, immediate attention, a counselor outside, or you may have a behavior person that may come in to just handle that particular situation. That may be your level 1, but level 3 is intensive, counseling and support and so forth. I think there has to be a plan, a focus in place to assure you're providing that support within those buildings. As a wrap up, we will always ask 3 questions.
Okay.
And the first question to you as a leader and surrounding mental health and awareness, what motivates you?
Well, I have been in the mental health and nonprofit arena for nearly 35 years now. And it's the reason I get up every day. I am 100% passionate about it. I don't think I'm ever going to retire, so that's another issue. But really the things that are important to me over the course of my career, I think I remember most those children that had given up on themselves. Everyone else had given up on them. They had been exposed to something so horrific that most people believed that they couldn't recover, or maybe they wouldn't have a normal life after that. To watch how resilient those children are, I keep that in my heart every single day.
Wow.
I know that children are resilient. I know that they can experience the worst of the worst and then become these amazing people that change the world.
I felt that.
It really is meaningful to me.
Wow.
I don't know that everyone has that level of faith because they haven't seen it happen. I've been so blessed to see it unfold before my eyes in so many circumstances. Over and over and over again, it's proven to me that no matter what has happened, they're going to be okay. They're going to do it.
How do you inspire others?
Well, I'm not sure. I do, as a leader, I believe that leadership is really not about having all the answers or being the person that is the strong one who parts the bushes and forges through. I believe that a leader is someone that has perspective, so you're able to see the full picture and you listen. You hear every single teeny tiny little voice that is speaking and allow that space to develop for everyone to have an equal opportunity to come together and be the collective voice. That collective voice is the thing that leads. It's not any person. It's not me. It's about creating that collective voice that everyone comes together and has that unified idea. It may not all be the same idea, but it's your perspective and yours and yours and yours and yours and yours. It creates the full picture and it allows something beautiful to happen. And so by being that conduit, I feel like I can inspire people to be heard.
I think you almost answered within that particular question what I'm going to ask about promoting transformation.
Yeah, transformation is, I think that it is an overused word sometimes because transformation is part of life. It is really being alive. It is being present in the moment and agile. It's paying attention to all the things around you and making sure that it's all factored in to what happens next. And just because you've taken that next step, don't think you're done. You haven't transformed anything. You have moved it forward, and it will continue to evolve and transform and transform and transform. And then, it becomes someone else's opportunity to help that to transform and transform. It's part of living.
Absolutely. I feel like I've been in a therapy session. Her voice is just so calm and relaxing and just truly tidbits of sound advice, especially around transformation. It's an evolution, and we're constantly evolving based upon life's experiences. So I see that, and I hear you loud and clear. In circumstances, positive or negative influences that transformation to make you the person that you're becoming. Yeah. Are there any final words you'd like to share or words of wisdom you would have for our audience?
Well, I really think that my main message to people is never to feel as though you're too small to change the world.
Ooh, I love that. Did you hear that, Mid-Tees? That was fantastic. As always, it's a pleasure to have individuals like you to talk about some of the difficult conversations, uncomfortable conversations, but really give us some of the tools that we need to be successful, not only in the classroom, but in life. Because ultimately, students that we impact as adults, we have the little boy or the little girl in ourselves too, as well, that also more than likely has some type of trauma. And we tend to bring all of those things as a part, not tend, we do bring all of those things as we evolve over time. And what I always say at the end of the broadcast is that the genesis of change, it begins from within. And we are responsible for making that change within ourselves.
It's intentional leadership.